Greetings, citizens! Justiguy has arrived. This is that which binds us, and our hero Idris is in a bit of a pickle. He needs to decide how he wants to lie to Evalise. Now, we have two options facing us. We could tell her that somebody else did it, which is totally believable, or we could tell her that she asked him to do it, that it being the wiping of the memories and such. Now, I kind of feel like either one is easy to get caught, but I'm very interested to see how he's gonna talk his way out of this one, so that's the one we're gonna go with. Well, this is the least lying route. You asked me to do it. This isn't the first time we've met this week. What? But I thought... So you used it on me? Again, you asked me to. You came in the other day asking for a bail bond, but I offered you a different service instead. I normally only sell bail bonds to people, but as a side job, I sever people's memories. You wanted out of the relationship, so you agreed, but you didn't want to remember the whole ordeal, so you asked to forget about me. I couldn't make you forget about him, since that requires me to cut your hair and then cut him, but I was able to make him forget about you. Then, after you went home, I made you forget about me, since that process usually knocks you out for a few minutes and makes you disoriented for a few hours. Of course, I think the alcohol is pushing the unconscious side effects off for your friend. Tomorrow's probably going to be hell for her. I'm too good at coming up with bullshit stories. But now the final piece. We didn't want the cut to be easily seen, so I cut the back of your right forearm. She takes the opposite hand and feels the back of her arm, her eyes widening when her fingers come across the scab from my cut. She still has a look of disbelief, but now it's mixed with a bit of fear. I'm sorry, Eva. I hate seeing you like this. It's alright. You don't have to say anything. This isn't exactly a normal situation, you know. Want another drink? Yes. I order 2 fresh beers and she immediately starts downing it. Her line of sight shifts to a nearby TV that I was watching before she came in. Some baseball game being played in a few cities over, but I know she doesn't care about that. I can always start talking a bit more. Okay, we got more choices here. Interesting. Alrighty. I never believed it as a kid. You know, I never believed it was real when I was a kid. I always thought it was some stupid story my dad would tell until I saw him use it one day. It opened my eyes. There's a lot more out there in the world than meets the eye, such as Transformers. So, have a little faith. No matter what you're dreading, there's more out there to surprise you. Yeah, surprise me with stuff to dread. Or surprise you with stuff that you actually like. I didn't take you for a sad drunk. I'm not drunk. Yet. Thanks. For the beer and little show and tell. The pleasure's all mine. Over in the middle of the room, Eva's friend gets up and starts to walk out. Eva turns for a bit to watch her leave and views the rest of the people here. What do I say now? You know, you never really told me a lot about yourself. She snaps out of a small trance from watching everyone else once she remembers she's sitting by someone. Oh, I guess I didn't, did I? She sighs and leans a bit back into the bar stool. Well, by day, I'm a clerk, shelver, etc. at a retail store in the mall. By night, I come home and watch history shows. Really exciting. You can't just say that without saying which shows. She quickly looks away for a bit, trying to cover up her blushing and giggling. Alright, all the boring details, fine. You know that one where they go and try to find ancient ruins in long-lost cities? The one where they've yet to find shit? Yes, I watch it every Tuesday. It's a bit addicting, isn't it? Especially mixed with the new show where they compare old maps. They act like they're gonna find buried treasures every episode, but always come up empty-handed. I wonder what it'd be like to work on one of those shows. Well, probably. Have you seen how many tents and stuff they bring and where they've got to sleep? Sometimes it takes them full weeks just to get their location after flying, driving, riding, hiking, and climbing. Yeah, maybe not the best job description in the world. I'll stick to watching from afar. But I doubt any of them really believe they'll find anything. All the hosts are practically reality show hosts. That's what most people are there to see at this point. Shows are all filled months in advance, so even if they had discovered anything, it'd have long been sent on the news. It'd have long been on the news. Only hopeless romantics would expect them to actually discover anything. But it is a bit of fun to dream, huh? Yeah, it's always fun until reality sets in. And when that happens, you just remember what I've got. A fancy kitchen knife? Sure. What kind of places do you like to eat at? Anywhere that offers shrimp and pasta together, really. Is that all it took to get your mind on food? I usually like Italian restaurants, but I'm not picky. As long as they serve noodles, I'll eat there. So even fake Italian places? Even fake ones. Wow. Nothing's authentic anymore anyway. You really are a depressing drunk. Okay, since I'm so depressing, what does the typical life of a bail bond salesman look like? If you must know, I start off my mornings with a shower, get dressed, and then I head to my office. I sit around there until lunchtime, at which time I usually get something from across the street. It's mostly a bread shop, so it's all sandwiches, but they sometimes have a soup. Then I'll close up around 6 unless I have an appointment. Appointment? Sometimes I have repeat customers, or customers who don't want to be seen by others during normal business hours. I do have a side business, you know. It helps pay the bills when people aren't getting incarcerated as much as I'd like. But aside from that, there's nothing extraordinary about my life either. Does it surprise you? A bit. I can't exactly brag about it, so aside from using it for work, the knife sometimes rarely gets used. I haven't met anyone else with similarly odd objects either, so it's not like I can easily consult or talk to other people about it. What were you expecting? Something less mundane? Everyone's got to make a living, huh? She looks up at me with a newfound sense of confidence. So what now? Huh? What now? Do we just part ways? Do we stay here until the bar closes? I don't have any plans. Sierra's gone. I'm single. I don't have to work tomorrow. You know, it's kind of like moving out for the first time. For a while, you're so surprised that you can't believe anything changed. But after a while, the shock wears off. You start to realize that things are changing and have changed, and it's time to move on. And then you start to realize all the free time you have now. So what's next? I stare at her somewhat incredulously for just a little too long. Well, since we are both boring people, apparently, there's a really cool bookstore a few blocks away. What kind of bookstore is open this late? I did say it's a cool bookstore. She smirks a bit before finishing off her beer. Lead the way. I love this girl. It's rather dark out tonight, but we managed to find our way while avoiding alleys. This way? I think I've been this way before. We pass by even more brightly lit bars and restaurants before we finally come to a familiar place. Wow, I've been here a couple of times, but it feels like years ago since then. They've really upgraded the place. The whole place looks like an odd mix of museum, toy shop, and store that happens to sell books. There's faint jazz music coming from some floor above, while the sound of a coffee grinder hums downstairs. It's like a bibliophile never wanted to leave a bookstore, so they bought it out and built all their necessities around it. It looks wonderful. He looks around like me, taking a look at everything in sight. Is he a bit sentimental? It is somewhat nice, I guess. Goes from cool to just being somewhat nice in only 10 minutes? Or was that nostalgia goggles talking? He takes a small step back, apparently surprised that I saw him with that longing look on his face. It's just a saying, jeez. How long has it been since you were here? A year or so. I don't regularly come here. Not anymore. Not anymore? He starts looking away from me as his attention is suddenly fully drawn to a display board about the coffee specials downstairs. Why bring me here if you didn't want to come? So, what section would you like to look at? How about the kids section? The what? Oh good, you are still listening to me. Hey, come on! I always like to look at autobiographies first. I drag him over to where it looks like the autobiographies and biographies are. When they changed the inside, they also naturally had to move sections around, so now the biographies are on a far wall beside the nonfiction section. He skims a few biographies on previous presidents while I look at the newest section. Why are you passing over some of the biographies? If I wanted pure facts, I'd look them up online. Don't you think it's more interesting to see what a person lived through from their own eyes? Interesting, yes. Factual, no. It'd never be completely true, of course, but that's what makes it more interesting. Even if they're just lying in some parts? Even if they're just lying. What do I care if they actually got into a fistfight behind a bar and beat up 6 guys by themselves? I'm sure someone somewhere has done it before, so I don't care if that person ever did it too. Then why read them? Because what if they did do all those things? Wouldn't that be cool? A plain old biography isn't going to have all their emotions and things they did. True, but I think I'll just stick to biographies. To each their own. I watch him pick up another biography, flip a few pages in it, and put it back uninterested. I put the book I had been holding, the story of a stand-up comedian of 30 years, back on the shelf. So what interests you more? Like what? Like, in general in novels. His eyes wander a bit as he starts to think. A few aisles over, a shopkeeper starts putting books on the shelf. Aside from them, we're the only ones in this area of the store. Finally, his eyes meet mine again. How about I show you? I sigh, but follow him. Where will he be taking her? Well, we might know. But to find out for sure, we'll have to find out, or see, whatever, you know what I mean, next time on That Which Binds Us, because until then, I'm afraid that this is... farewell!